I never thought that this could happen to me. Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how my life will never, ever be the same ever again. Yeah, that's right. We're going to be talking about how Mexico has changed my life. For good, for bad, for ugly, for everything. But it's changed my life. It's changed my life to the point where, well, you know, I'm out here telling you guys about it, how much it's changed my life. In fact, you know, what we're going to be doing today, I'm not going to waste too much time with the intro. We're going to just hop right on the bike. That's right. We're in a busy intersection here in the middle of Merida, Yucatan. We're actually not too far off from Plaza Sendero, which we're going to be ending up our episode today because I got to go run some errands over there at the local mall. But just to show you guys exactly where we're at, all right? You guys can see it there. It's a little noisy here because, again, we're in a busy intersection. But what we're going to be doing today is that we're going to be riding around this neighborhood, this area, while I talk about how, well, my life has changed forever and how it's never, ever going to be the same. And it's probably going to be the same for you. And this is why, you know, I'm making today's video, because the reality is that some of you guys come out here and, well, you guys, it does change your life for the better in a great way. And for some of you guys, it doesn't change your life for the better. It changes your life in a more negative way, in a way that makes you want to go back home to where you came from. But that's not everybody. For most people that come out here, it really does change your life, you know, for the better. It just changes your life, period, end of story. And so you already know how we do here. We like to walk and talk, or we like to bike and talk. And well, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be jumping on the honey whale here that you guys love so much. And we're just going to take a nice little a trip. You know, we're just going to take a little tour of the area. Let me just give you just an idea of where we're at. You know, we're just in a regular, normal, typical neighborhood out here. Again, not too far off from where I live, but just so you guys can get an idea of where I live and where you could possibly live if you choose to come out here. So, all right, guys, let's hop on the bike and let's get this conversation going, because it's nice and hot and humid out here. Even though it's nice and cloudy today, because we're in towards the end of August here, middle of August, and it's just, hot and humid and rainy. It's not raining right now, which is why I'm out here making this video. So we better hurry up before it does start to rain. And when it rains, it pours. So without further ado, let's just jump on the bike and get to work. All right, guys, so let's just get right into it here. As you guys already read from the title, probably read from the thumbnail, before you clicked on this video, basically, Mexico has provided me with things that I never thought would be possible. While living in the USA, I always dreamed of a life that, well, I think a lot of us have always wanted in a weird way. I know everyone's different. Everybody has different wants and needs and desires and all this stuff. But, the reality is that I think for a lot of us, we're looking for similar things. And so one of those things is just a nice, peaceful life, where, you could just work doing what you love. And at the same time, it's enough to provide a lifestyle that you love as well. And so, the reality is that when I was in the USA, I always dreamed of a certain life. I basically just wanted the regular, normal, typical life. Hey, I just wanted to have a normal job. I wanted to eventually find myself with a wife, perhaps have those 2.5 kids, white picket fence, the dog, all that stuff. But again, more importantly than anything else, I wanted to really love what I did, which is why I decided, a long time ago, when I got out of high school, instead of, going to where, my guidance counselor told me to, and, my parents and so many other individuals out there, because again, I got really good grades in high school. I had a really good, I was just one of those smart kids, so I prefer to say more like a smart ass. Bruh. Whatever, that's neither here nor there. But, with that said, I didn't want to, have an office job. I did not want to be a lawyer or a doctor or any of these things. I just wanted to just be a normal person, and live a normal life in a sense. Again, what is normal, right? Well, so throughout the years, I decided to become a chef. All right, let me just bring it down to there, because I know a lot of you guys are out there in the audience. You guys are brand new to the channel. Some of you guys know my full story. Some of you guys don't know my story. I'll link those videos at the end of this one. I got another channel that goes even deeper into my life, my stories, my everything. But for the time being, basically, I decided, hey, I'm going to become a chef. I'm going to become a cook. Way back in the day when it was not fashionable to pick that career or pick that kind of lifestyle. And, at first it was great. It was wonderful. But it got to the point where I quickly realized, hey, this is not all I want to hear. Where I quickly realized it wasn't going to really give me, the life that I thought it was going to give me. It wasn't giving me that freedom that I thought, I was going to get. And as the years went on, I found myself deeper and deeper into this hole that I thought I was just never going to get out of. When I would sit there, working, my 12-hour shifts or longer in the kitchen, basically I was always just dreaming of one day, being able to still achieve that dream. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just thought eventually I would find myself in a nice, cushy chef position, and it would be paying me enough money as to where I could finally live that dream life that I've always wanted, that a lot of us, kind of always wanted or want. And well, again, one thing led up to the other. It was just one thing after the other. And as time went on, I kept realizing that, well, yeah, this is not going to happen. It's probably just not in the cards for me. I'm just probably never going to have that amazing life that I've always dreamed of and always wanted. And basically, it got to the point where you start losing, faith, and you just start, kind of making do with what you got, and it is what it is. And then, as the years went on, I found myself in another city. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, but eventually, as the years went on, I found myself in another city. You know what? Let's turn around here. Let's just stick to the back roads for now. But anyways, I found myself up in Seattle, living a completely different life, making a lot of really good money. And then I was like, all right, great. Maybe now I'll be able to get that wife and the kids and live that life, right? Only to, again, realize, not, very quickly that that wasn't going to happen either. And again, I just gave up on that, and I decided to just deal with what I got, meaning, well, at least life is pretty good now. I'm making a few bucks. It's not so bad. Let's just, enjoy what we got. But again, as things continue to, as life continued to happen, and eventually things kind of spiraled out of control a little bit here and there, I realized that, oh my gosh, I'm just not going to be able to get that. Again, eventually, some of you guys know my full story. I lost everything that I had. I lost everything that I owned. And I had to start from nothing all over again. I had to start from scratch. And it was not easy. It was very, very difficult. And I was able to do it. Again, I got myself to Los Angeles, and I was just trying to, pick it back up again. And, things just kept going from bad to worse, And I think a lot of you guys out there kind of know what I'm talking about. I mean, especially in the recent years, as things just gone from worse to worse. And so basically, because of faith, I ended up out here in Mexico. Again, for my full story, you guys can check out my other videos. But long story short, I had no choice but to kind of move to Mexico. And that's when my fortunes really started to turn. Ever since I've been in Mexico, slowly but surely, I've been able to attain, that life, that lifestyle that I've always wanted, that life that I thought was just never possible. You guys know I came out here to Mexico with only $1,500 left to my name. Again, for more context, basically, I had like $2,500, but I had to pay for a plane ticket, and I had to pay for, for my Airbnb for the first month I was here, and a few other things that I had to pay for, to get out of the USA. And long story short, I had $1,500 left to my name once I landed here, and that was enough. That was enough to get myself my first little apartment that you guys have seen many times before already. And I was able to, get my first apartment that I think cost me around 300, sorry, I apologize. It cost me 3,000 pesos a month, which is the equivalent of like $150, give or take, a month. And right off the bat, I was like, okay, we're gonna be able to make this work. And what was it that I really was trying to do more than anything else? Well, you guys already know. I wanted to be free. And what does that mean? What did that mean of being free? Well, being free really meant, at that time, I started making YouTube videos. Things were going pretty well. And pretty well meaning that I had like 100 subscribers and, had some people that were watching my videos and enjoying what I was making. Basically just talking about, a lot of the things that I talk on my other channel these days, Jose Unleashed. Again, I'll link all those at the end of this one. And, it's going pretty good. And so I just figured, I want to keep making videos. I want to give this a shot. I know out here in LA, I don't really have much of a choice. I'm going to have to, live out of my car, live out of whatchamacallit, on the street if things get really, really, really bad, which, again, they were heading that way. And again, while I was working, while I was all that, and I was like, that's not really an option. And I'm definitely not going to be able to make my YouTube videos. I'm definitely not going to be able to live this life and do these things that I really want to do. So that's when I just made that executive decision. All right, I got to get out of Dodge. And I did. I got out of Dodge, and I made my way out here to Mexico so I can literally pursue my dream of continuing to make YouTube videos. Now, as soon as I landed here, since I knew that I was going to be making YouTube videos, well, I decided to start documenting my whole, a lot of potholes here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I started to document my whole experience out here, and eventually it turned into this channel. Again, it took a long time. It took me, again, I've been in Mexico over 7 years now, and it was a long path to get to where I'm at now. But long story short, in order for me to get to here, I had to, follow my gut. I had to be confident in what I really wanted and not settle for anything less. So, that's why I ended up out here. And so, not only did I, come out here. All right, I'm going the wrong way. I'm going the wrong way. All right, let's make a turn this way here. I'm not too familiar with this area here, but anywho's. So, that's when I made the executive decision to come out here, and by just following my dreams, following my heart, again, not settling for continuing to live a horrible life or a worse life, because it was just, going to keep getting worse. By just doing that, I was able to find myself living the life that I've always wanted to live. And so, look, I get it. A lot of you guys watch my videos and watch my content, and you guys want to emulate, what I do out here, what I live out here. But it took a lot of sacrifice. It took a lot of work. It took a lot, out of me. But in retrospect, as I told you guys multiple times on my channel, it's like I decided a long time ago, hey, I'm going to be starving either way. So I might as well be starving doing something I love instead of starving doing something I hate. And, that's why I made my way out here. And I just slowly but surely was able to, lift up. I was slowly but surely able to attain all the things that I wanted. Eventually, after being here a few years, I met up with Christian, my future wife. We were just dating at first, and everything was going all hunky-dory, all wonderful and lovely. And then eventually, we got married. Again, we got married for my papers. This is way before, there was other programs or other outlets, for me to get residency. And especially for me, I came out here with nothing. And, even after I met my wife and I was with my wife, it's not like I had much more money. I was still barely making it paycheck to paycheck here. But with that said, I was already living my dream from the minute I landed here, because from the minute I landed here, everything was just a fun adventure. And I was sharing a lot of that adventure with you guys. All right, I just want to get out of traffic here. See, look, that truck is pulling that bus. But yeah, eventually, you know what I mean? Like, again, from the minute I landed here, I was already living a life that I wanted to live, and enjoyed living, and things just kept getting better and better as time went on, and just because I just kept, putting in that work, and I kept, again, believing in the dream and believing in what I, just knowing what I wanted and just not settling for anything less than that. And so, again, as the years went on, eventually we moved to a house. Once we got married and all that stuff, we moved to a house, and we were living in that house for many years until eventually we moved out of that house and we moved to where we're living now. And now, as I sit there in, the house, in the house that we're living in right now, with my beautiful wife, with my amazing dog, making these videos. Again, I'm out here on a Wednesday afternoon, just filming a video for you guys, talking to you guys about my life, my story. I sit here and I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm so blessed. Again, I never thought that this could happen to me. I never thought that I would ever be able to really achieve this dream that I have now, this dream life that I'm living now. Simply because back when I was in the USA, it seemed like such a pipe dream. It seemed like something that was just so far away that I would never really be able to achieve it or attain it. And I think a lot of you guys kind of feel that way. A lot of you guys, you guys were fed, the whole American dream thing. That, again, back in the day, it was a real thing. I did achieve the American dream multiple times in the USA. But it got to a point, like I said, when I was already in LA, when I realized, I'm not going to be able to really achieve that dream out here anymore. And so that's why, I came out here to Mexico, and not only have I been able to achieve it out here, man, now I tell you guys all the time about how the American dream is out here in Mexico. That the whole idea of the American dream, it still exists. It's still alive and well. It's just not in the USA anymore. Not for many people. I know that that's not everyone's case. I know everyone has a different story out there. If you're watching this video, you're probably not one of those people. But if you are watching this video, if you're still watching this, you're one of those people. You're one of those people that, you bought hook, line, and sinker into the American dream and invested a lot of your life, your career, your everything into that American dream. And now, well, you're looking to relocate. You're looking for a better life. You're looking for just that whole dream, that whole aspect of the American dream that you never got or you never attained. Some of you guys did, some of you guys didn't. Again, I have a lot of people in the audience. For the older folk that are already retired, well, you guys were fed the idea that if you worked hard enough, sacrificed hard enough, you put in enough blood, sweat, and tears into that American dream, that you would be able to retire in dignity. You'll be able to have an amazing retirement. Like the more you worked, the better the retirement. And that was what you were fed. And then later on, as retirement age came, well, you found yourself still working. Not because you loved to work, not because you loved doing what you did, but no, simply just because, well, that retirement that they promised you wasn't enough. It just was not enough. It's not enough. It just isn't enough. That's why when a lot of people ask me, because I get people ask me all the time, all kinds of things, but when a lot of people ask me straight up, hey, Jose, what are you going to be doing for your retirement? What does your retirement look like? I'm like, man, what are you talking about? I've been living my retirement. I've been retired out here in Mexico for 7 years. The reason I chose to be a cook, a chef, whatever, was because I wanted to have a kind of semi-retired lifestyle, in the sense of like I'm doing what I love, again, everyone has a different kind of definition of retirement. But for me, the whole idea of working 40 plus years or longer, just to, enjoy a few years at the end of your life, that to me was always ludicrous. So that's why I was like, what, if I got to work that long, I might as well pick a career that I would love and I want to do and I would enjoy and all that stuff. And so that's why I ended up, working in the kitchens, working as a cook and all that stuff. And so, obviously when I'm living out here, I'm already kind of living that retirement. Hold on a second, I gotta sneeze. Bruh. Now see, just talking about work so much, it brought me, made me sneeze. I'm allergic. I'm allergic to, that 9 to 5, all that work that a lot of people do. But anyways, so going back to, when I moved out here, the whole idea of, I'm gonna make YouTube videos for a living and I'm gonna live this life seemed extremely appealing and something that was totally achievable, was totally doable. And for sure, I made it happen. Not only did I make it happen, I'm making it happen. I'm here doing it. But as I was saying, is that that whole idea was something that was kind of like always kind of crazy to me. And even though I was participating in that, I was part of that workforce and all that good stuff. But nowadays, now especially as we're seeing how everything is turning out, things are just again getting from bad to worse or worse to worser. It's even more apparent that I made the right decision, 7 years ago to move out here. That I did make the right decision of becoming a cook and living that lifestyle and all the things that I've done. Apparently, wasn't so crazy. Apparently, I wasn't that far off. And here I am, enjoying the fruits of my labor. But with that said, though, I still work. I still, I'm out here making videos. I'm still out here, hustling and, making, trying to make the best life possible. But just going back to like that song from the Talking Heads, where it's just like, I never thought, that these things would be possible. The fact that, especially when I moved out here again at 26 years old. 36. I moved out here at 36 years old, and now I'm 43, about to turn 44. And yeah, look, that truck right there, that's the National Guard. That would be also considered the immigration officers or whatever. So just in case, people are scared of that whole situation, you just saw them ride right past me, and they're out there, doing their job, which is protecting civilians or protecting, the people that live out here, as opposed to, harassing someone like me or harassing the public. All right. So just FYI. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to get distracted there. But so, again, that's something you can watch my other videos as to, my relationship with authority and police, and again, why I love it out here so much. They just basically leave you alone. Back to that freedom thing. But as we, I was losing my own freedom in the USA. I was not achieving that American dream. And every time that I started over, it just got more and more difficult. I was just, getting depressed in the sense of like, man, I'm never going to be able to achieve that dream. But like I said, after being out here and working out here, finding my wife, starting from zero with her, building all the things that we've built, living in the amazing house that we're living in now, because now my rent is around $650 a month. Hola. My rent is now around $650 a month, which is totally doable. Again, my income is only around $1,500 a month, but that's totally doable. I can pay my rent, and I still have plenty of money, for all my my utilities and all my day-to-day life, and I'm still building. We're still growing. Eventually, we're going to be making more money, and I'll be able to, start, putting more into savings, and eventually, who knows, maybe even buy a house. Yeah, that's right, buy a house. Something that not only I could not achieve back home in the USA, but especially these days, how am I going to achieve that? Most of you guys already know. You guys are having trouble even getting close to achieving anything close to that. And those of you guys that do own a house, well, you guys are paying these mortgages that are probably longer than how long you're going to be living out here on Earth. Meaning that, yeah, sure, you might have a house. I got friends and family that have homes in the USA, but they're on a 30-year mortgage and they're my age. So when are you going to pay that off? When you're 75? Yeah, good luck with that. So, like I said, there's a lot of, all right, let's see if we can cross over here. Get on that other side over there. All right, let's just go through here. So yeah, look, that's where we're gonna end up the show at some point. I gotta go to that mall. I gotta buy a few things there. So, we're just riding around the mall here while we're doing this video. We'll end up there later. Let's just keep riding around the neighborhood. So, for those of you guys that want, a little bit more of knowing of where I am, when I'm making these videos, all right? I'm sorry if I'm not the best with directions, okay? My apologies. Anywho's. So, out here, I was able to achieve those things. Now as I sit in my beautiful home with my beautiful wife, with my beautiful life, doing the beautiful things, like making these videos, helping so many of you guys out, trying to achieve something similar. Man, again, I find myself as the luckiest guy on the face of the earth, all right? Yeah, I know, to quote Lou Gehrig there, right? But I really do truly feel that way. I really do feel like I'm extremely lucky, to have this life. But I also know that it's not luck. Luck is kind of more of a construct. You build your own luck, you create your own luck, and that's where the 7+ years of me being out here has come, into play. Plus, the other hard, life, that I lived, back when I was working in the kitchens. Back when I was younger, taking care of my family. Yeah, because I've been working since I was like 15 years old. And all honesty, a lot younger than that. But again, that's another story for another day. But regardless, that's not the point. Like all that sacrifice, all that hard life has finally paid off. And it's amazing because like I just, I'm still like in awe many times as to, the fact that I'm out here, living, this life that I just never thought would be possible. And I think for a lot of you guys, again, you're in the same boat. Think about it. A lot of you guys, you're in different stages in your life. Some of you guys are in your 30s or in your 40s, like me, like I was when I moved out here. Some of you guys have a wife and kids. I know some of you guys that have moved out here, you guys have an amazing life and career in the USA. And some of you guys have moved out here simply because of your kids, whether you want to give your kids a better life or better education. Or a better environment to grow up in, or for some of you guys, that have basically, unfortunately, kids that are a little sick or have certain issues, and out here is the only place where you can afford the medication or afford to give them the life that you want. For some of you guys have never found that significant other, whether you're male or female out there, whoever you're looking for, and out here, you have a more of a better chance of finding that other half, that partner, that life partner that you've always wanted. Some of you guys, again, like me, you guys are switching careers, or you guys want to do a certain career, or you want to live a certain lifestyle that you just can't live in the USA anymore. But you can definitely do it out here. And, I can go on and on with the examples, as to why many of you guys have decided, to move out here. Or deciding to move out here, or deciding to just move abroad in general. It doesn't have to necessarily be moving to Mexico. I talk about it all the time. Again, I happened to move to Mexico, but it's just, again, it was a happy accident how I landed here. I didn't do any research on Merida. I didn't do any research on Mexico. I didn't do any kind of research at all. I literally just put my finger on a map. I had a bunch of places I had it kind of already picked out, and and the places that I could afford to land in, with the little resources that I had, and this, Mexico and Merida ended up being that place. Merida ended up being that amazing home, because that's what I consider it now. I consider it home, that I've always dreamed of. Because again, I'm from Miami, Florida. This is why I love it out here, because the weather's very similar. There's similarities in cultures. Again, Cuba, Miami is not too far from here. Similar climate, and so on and so forth. And so for me, at least, again, just me, this is why I love it out here. Even though I've traveled to many places, I've been to places like Guadalajara. I've been to Mexico City. Been to Oaxaca. Been to many of these places. They're all awesome in their own right. But at the end of the day, I always end up coming back home, coming back here. Obviously, my wife has a lot of say in that as well, for obvious reasons. But again, she has her family here. This is her home. We've traveled, also trying to, find another place to call home, only to just always come back and realize this is home. And again, it's not for everybody. I know a lot of people, have their, misconceptions. What is it like? Their ideas of what Merida is, what this region is, the Yucatan. And it's for some people and not for some and not for others. It is what it is. But at least, for me, it works. For a lot of you guys, it works. And I mean, for a lot of us, we're not really picky. It's not like we're asking for much per se. And, just peace and quiet and being able to really live and enjoy the life, that we've always dreamed of, the life that we thought that we would never have or achieve or have access to. And so, out here, hold on. And so out here, that's one of these places, Like out here in Mexico, I've been able to achieve that dream. I've been able to live that lifestyle that I've always wanted to live. And a lot of you guys, you watch my videos and you want to emulate that, or at the very least, live vicariously through me. I understand that everyone's in a different kind of situation out there. And, some of you guys can come out here and make it happen. Some of you guys, maybe not so much. But it is what it is, though. It's not like an impossible task. It's a difficult task. Again, if you want it bad enough, you can achieve it. You can definitely get it. It's out there. It's out here. But again, with all that said, though, the reality is that, everyone out there is in a different position. But I think for most people these days, the whole idea of achieving that American dream is the reason you kind of always stick around the USA. You never even would think that you would never even fathom, the whole idea of like, hey, I'm going to move, to another country. I'm going to move abroad. Why would you do that? You're living supposedly in the greatest country in the world, or in the greatest countries in the world, whether you're coming from Canada or even from Europe or whatever, right? But again, as time passes, as time goes on, most people are realizing that that's not really a thing anymore. And you guys are looking for different options. You guys are looking for a way out, a way in which you can continue to achieve, or at least, give a chance to that dream, because some of you guys got close to it. Some of you guys have achieved it, like me, but a lot of you guys, just never been able to really get that full package of the full dream, because that's where I'm at now. I have a career that I love. A lot of you guys, again, I know there's always a lot of negative Nancys out there in the audience. A lot of you guys are always like, oh, yeah, you say all these you say all these things now, but, wait until one day, you're not going to be able to do YouTube anymore. Hey, look, if I'm not able to do YouTube anymore, I'll just get a traditional job, or I'll just start a business out here. Things that, you can't really do in the USA anymore. Or at least if you can, there's just so much red tape and there's just so much, basically holding you back that it makes it very, very difficult, for people to even, try to do that anymore. And so most of you guys have to end up going back to the workforce. And, as time goes on, that workforce is becoming almost obsolete, whether it's, I don't even want to talk about immigration. I think that's like a moot point these days. I feel more about like, how about our artificial intelligence? I have a friend that works for I think insurance or something like that. And, he has like another career where he makes a lot of money. So he's not really dependent on the job per se. But a lot of people, but basically all of his coworkers are dependent on that job, on that career. And, long story short, the other day they had like a meeting, they had like one of those work meetings. And long story short, like the boss was telling everybody out there that, pretty soon they're all going to get replaced by AI. That's it. It's as straight up simple as that. And, I'm not getting replaced by AI. If anything, I'm working with AI. As you guys know, on my other channel, I'm making AI videos, trying to, have fun with that, and, just trying to continue enjoying life and doing all the fun things that I'm, doing, and a part of that is making videos, and whether these videos are, riding around on my bike or walking around or talking or making live streams or whatever it is. It also could include, in the very near future, me working with AI and making AI content. But it doesn't matter. The thing is that out here, I get to roll with the punches. I get to grow, with technology. I get to grow, with everything around me. And man, you can see it's starting to get dark clouds out there. Let me see how long we've been filming before we start making our way back here. But anywho's, so, that's the thing. It's a lot of things that, out here provides you so much options. Real freedom. Oh, wow. Okay, we've been recording for a while now. All right, so let's see if we can find our way back, towards the mall there. I can go off on these tangents and just talk forever, right? But yeah, that's just the true reality of it. You know what I mean? The reality is that, like, out here, I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all as to how I'm going to really achieve, that dream or not, because I'm already there. I'm already living that dream. And all right, hold on. Let me make sure I get the right address here on the books here. Sorry, on my GPS here, so I can make sure I go the right way. All right, I think we're just gonna go. All right, we'll just go this way. Whatever. I don't want to be backtracking, going through the same spots. I don't think I've gone through here, but anywho's. So, out here, I'm living the life that, again, I just never thought I would be able to really live. I just never thought I would ever really be able to achieve. And I feel so blessed, to be out here. I feel so, it's already starting to rain. I feel so blessed and so happy. And so, it's almost like a miracle that I've been able to, find my way out here to live this amazing life. And so, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so as we move on, with life, as life continues to roll, I find myself even happier and happier each and every day. Less and less stress each and every day. Oh man, guys, I guess the camera shut off. It's so hot and humid that it just shut off on its own, and I think it shut off at the most appropriate time, is that we were already going past 30 minutes there. So again, I guess the universe is basically telling us to wrap it up. So we're gonna start wrapping it up since we're almost at our destination here. But yeah, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's rambling. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's ride, today's video, as we talked about, this subject that is very near and dear to my heart, and I think to a lot of you guys as well. To the whole idea that, that Mexico has changed my life, and, for the better. And I've been able to achieve everything I've always wanted to achieve out here, and then some. And that's it. You know what I mean? We're just out here now, just kind of like enjoying the fruits of our labors here. And it's starting to rain. So, all right, we got to hurry up out of here. So, all right, I think I'm going to just pull over real quick over here and just end the video real quick, since the mall is up ahead. Here, let's just, we might as well end it over there. Let's go to the mall so you guys can see, the end of this road let's see where this road leads us here. But yeah, guys, again, my apologies. My brain's a little scrambled at the moment. It's very hot and humid, even though it might not seem like it is. But yeah, at the end of the day, maybe it's just so scrambled because I'm just so happy. We're out here living, the life that I never just thought was possible or achievable. And here we are, living it together, vicariously living it together. So, all right, here, I'm going to turn around so you guys can see. All right, real quick, so you guys want to. So the mall's all over there. All right, as you guys can see at the other end of that is where the mall is. So I got to get out of here, you know, before the weather gets really bad. Because look at what's behind me. Look what I got behind me. I don't know if you guys can see those clouds. All right, it's about to start pouring rain. So I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to the mall. I think I'm going to just cut my losses and just head back home. All right, so. With all that, it's already starting to rain. So with all that being said, I was gonna get off the bike and you know, record an ending, but I think we're just gonna, you know, like I said, wrap it up and head home. All right, because I got these microphones that are not waterproof. My camera is, but not the microphone. So again, I know you guys probably won't be able to see the rain, but look, it's already getting nice and dark. All right, so. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna end up the show here. Again, I got the rain clouds right behind me. It's about to start getting real nasty out here because it's the rainy season. And you know, I love the rain, but I don't love being under the rain. All right, especially when I'm out, you know, this far away from the house. So that's what we're gonna end up getting out of here now. So with all that being said, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's ride. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, today's topic. And if you did, please let me know down below what you thought. You know, let me know what you know about your own life, about your own experience, and let's continue the conversation down below as we always do. So you already know the deal, guys. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon, but more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.